Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you hear us loud and clear? Drop us in some comments and say hi. Evening, everyone. Susan says hi. Can you hear us, Susan? Are we loud and clear?
Can you hear me? Should I talk now? Can I talk now? Can I talk yet?
Yeah, you can go for it. Knock yourself out.
Yay! Hi, Richard.
Hi, Nicola.
Yeah, that's me. You got it.
I knew her name, honestly. Paul Bridges. Hi, Paul. Good to have you on, mate.
You'll be all right. Just keep to the script.
Happy days. Happy days. You can hear us. Fantastic. I'm really looking forward to today's show. This is going to be a lot of fun. Nothing like a good bit of music to get you in the mood for a good show, eh?
Did you create that yourself, Richard? That music?
Oh God, no! I'm not skilled enough to create that. You're having a laugh.
Oh, you never know. Man of many talents.
I can bang my fingers on the table in time to a bit of music, but that's about my limit. Joining me on the show tonight, folks, we have none other than, where the heck is the setting? Let me find the settings. I'm still getting used to this bit of software. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? There we go. Yay, Nicola Powell.
You can't forget the name now. It's there.
Indeed. She, none other than the powerhouse of networking. The sunshine that walked into a room on a rainy day, as I said.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well, she is. You see people's reactions when Nicola walks into a room. Once they finish running and hiding.
Yeah,
Or is it just me that has that effect?
No, stop right there. You do really well.
I know. So Nicola Powell is from Curios Dog Media, and one of her speciality subjects is business networking. And hopefully tonight we're going to break apart anything and everything to do with business networking. And hopefully Nicola's going to shed some wonderful light on it and some sunshine on it and make you all feel a little bit more at home and relaxed about what it is, how to do it, what you should get out of it, and so on. And anything else that none of us know anything about. So, Nicola, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity as well, coming on and speaking with you on a lovely sunny evening. It's great. So, yeah, you mentioned Curios Dog Media. So I guess like many entrepreneurs, I wear several hats. Curios Dog Media is one of them, and that's my video creation and media company. But I guess this evening I'm primarily speaking with you with another hat on, which is in the context of networking. So as well as having the media company, I'm also the regional director for the Kent area of the Athena network. So
say that again, a regional director of the Athena network.
Yeah, the Athena network. So the Athena network is an all-women networking club. It's the premier networking club for female executives and entrepreneurs. And I am really privileged to be part of the team there that hosts and support entrepreneurial women get the most out of their business and their networking and their networking strategies.
Happy days. So that's quite the introduction, right? This is why she said it and not me. But you know, what Nicola doesn't know about networking is probably not worth knowing, eh? I'd probably say.
Well, everyone, from my perspective, everyone learns something new every single day. So I would not profess to be, you know, the all-knowing person of anything. But yeah, I do a lot of networking, and I support and train women on how to network. So hopefully I know a little bit about it.
She's modest too. Shh, don't tell us that. Cheeky sod, Susan. Do you call that good music? Yes, I do, actually. I liked it. Did anyone else like that bit of music? Even though I screwed it up. You should have heard about 5 minutes of it, and I managed to find the volume button about 30 seconds from the end. I was like, oh no. As Robin will attest, my audio skills are this much right now.
It's all a learning curve.
Yeah, at least I screwed up the music this week and not our voices.
In terms of about audio, but also lighting and everything, this is actually a really difficult time of evening to get the lighting right in a room, because if you're in front of a window, in half an hour it's going to be darker. But to have the lighting on now, it's can be a little bit bright and a bit harsh. But hey,
indeed,
we can crack on.
Paul's a househead. I'll remember that for next week. That was actually, I think that track it was from Epidemic Sound, and I believe it is what they call soft house. which is what you get.
Paul, what's your specific interest in intro music?
He likes house, he says.
Yeah.
But I actually saw Paul's show reel today. He does animations and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Which is probably an understatement. And his show reel is very impressive.
Paul, we should connect.
Yeah. So hopefully, I'm hoping to catch up with Paul at some point in the future and get a nice show reel, little 10-second snippet to go on the front of this show that I can screw up as well. So screw up the audio, screw up that.
You're too harsh on yourself.
But it's funny. It's funny.
People don't know. Come on.
If I can't take the mickey out of myself, then no one else can.
Okay.
Yeah, music is key. It is indeed. Yeah. So if you've got any music requests for next week, pop them in, because next week, hopefully, I'll have a soundboard to play with. So I'll load it up with loads of silly sound effects and scare all the guests away. They won't want to come on the show again after that. So tonight, Nicola, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, apparently we're talking about networking.
Indeed.
What is networking? Why do it? How do it? Do's and don'ts.
If we could ask our viewers any one question in particular that might get them thinking about networking, what might we ask them, do you reckon?
Well, I'm interested to know, do people network? So as a business owner, do you network? There's lots of people that I know who are terrified of networking for various reasons. So I would always ask, have you networked before? And if you have, what's your experience been? Good, bad, indifferent? What are you afraid of, if anything?
That's a good question.
What's been your biggest networking success? What's been your biggest networking fail?
Yeah, what puts people off?
We could go on, couldn't we?
I know, right? Because it's funny, because you say that question, when the times I've been business networking, you sort of think to yourself, okay, there's 50 people in a room. There can't surely be 50 businesses in the area. Where are they all? So there's got to be a lot of people out there who probably felt like I did the first time I went networking. But if we get things underway then by saying, well, what is business networking? How could we describe it to the networking newbie, the one who's never been?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think the thing is, a lot of businesses, if they've got sort of professional advisors, networking will be something that they're told they have to do to grow their business. And that's a great starting point. But networking is all about creating contacts. So it's all about meeting people. It's all about creating contacts that you might be creating now for the future. It's about connecting people. And the biggest one for me, it's about opportunities. So as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you're always looking, I'm always looking, I'm sure you are as well, looking for opportunities on how you can collaborate and connect with people that can support your business, grow your business, can be a prospective client, can be somebody that you can collaborate with. So it allows you to broaden your horizons, learn. I mean, I've learned so much from the people that I network with. So it brings a whole host of valuable stuff to you as a person and to your business as well. That said, it's not just about pitching up one time and expecting everything to fall into place. And that, I think, is probably the biggest mistake that a lot of people who are not familiar with networking or how to do it, that's probably the biggest mistake they make.
Yeah, I've seen a few people do that, where they rock up just before the bit where you tell people a bit about yourself, and they sort of rock up with a quick sales pitch, and then once everyone's finished and they sit down, it's like, where did that guy go? He's left.
Yeah. Well, networking hasn't worked because I haven't sold anything.
Yeah.
So the biggest, I guess the biggest tip, if you like, I could give anybody who is, well, there's lots of things.
Save that to the end, otherwise Susan will go now. We start giving out tips too soon. Susan will be like, right, I'm off, bye, I got my tips. Got to keep her awake till 8 o'clock. But yeah, good point, Susan. She says, I think it's important. I do read these out because this goes out as a podcast as well on iTunes. So if I say this question on the screen, anyone listening on the podcast will be like, what was the question? I don't know. So she says, yeah, I think it's important, not only for my business, but to meet other like-minded people who can all help each other.
Absolutely.
Indeed. And much like the collaboration that I've been looking for years, this show wouldn't have happened without meeting a lot of the people that I've met through business networking.
Including us.
Probably,
That's how we met,
yeah,
isn't
with the
it?
primary person being you, Nicola.
Yeah.
You can take the blame for this. So if it goes wrong, it's her fault. Yeah, Paul also says putting a person behind a business name is great also.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
'cause-
good point.
Yeah, these days people like to, people have always bought from people, haven't they? With the odd exception of the big brands.
We do business with people we know, like, and trust. And there's no way, well, certainly if anybody's found a way, please share it with me. But there's no way that I found that you can do that without engaging with somebody, speaking with them, understanding what they do, building that rapport, asking the questions about their business, looking at ways that you can help them. Because it's
Indeed.
not until you get to that point that what you do will be something that somebody's confident enough to invest their time, energy, money into buying from you.
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of the big brands like the Nikes and Amazons and the big ones, the big global brands, you kind of need to get to know who you're investing in, if you like, because when you're spending money with a business, you're investing in that business, really. And
Yeah, I mean, I guess what we're talking about is smaller businesses. I mean, networking will go on at all kinds of levels, of course. You've got huge businesses and they'll network on a CEO level and whatever. But I guess what we're talking about is more localized networking events where you go as a smaller business, smaller company, maybe a sole trader, maybe a representative of a smaller business, and you're looking to build up that community around you.
Indeed. I mean, some bigger businesses I've met through business networking. I mean, I was fortunate enough to have lunch with the CEO of Telecoms World at an FSB event. So that was nice. We've been a customer of theirs for 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
And it was nice to finally rock up to an FSB event, and who's sitting next to me but the CEO of a company we've been using for over 10 years. So that was nice. So sometimes, like you say, you're looking for collaborations and meeting new opportunities, but sometimes as well, I find it's quite nice to sometimes you'll bump into people and get a really nice surprise. So that's quite good. So if that's what business networking is, how does it work? I mean, how do you go about it?
Strategically.
Simple answer to that one, Nick. Moving on.
What I mean by that, what I mean by that is that I always encourage everybody who's in my networking groups, you've got to look at networking as something that supports your business plan. So as with any business, if you have goals or you have targets or you've got something which you want to share with people, promotion or product or service, you've got to know who you're aiming for and you've got to know what it is you're looking for. So with any networking event, we can kind of roll it all back to the type of networking events and where you might look to start your networking. But the first thing is, what do you want from your networking? What are you looking for? Who are you looking to meet? Who are you looking to connect with? What are you looking to tell people about? Because if you haven't got that focus on the networking event, you're not going to come up with something that's tangible for you. You won't get your return on investment.
Yeah. I mean, I've often heard a good question, and I like hearing it when you go to these networking events. That they often ask, "How can we help you today? What help are you looking for?" Rather than come and make a sales pitch. Chaz does it as well at Bromley Business Network, and it's a nice reminder, if you like, of why you're there, rather than you just going in with that sales pitch in your head.
Yeah.
What are you looking for? How can we help you today?
Absolutely. So there's two sides to it, and I'm not suggesting you go in just with a me. Absolutely not. On the contrary, like you're saying, Richard, you go in how you can support another business, but you also have to go in with a focus as to what you're looking for from a networking event, because depending on what type of business you are or what type of personality you are, not all networking events will be the right networking events for you. And it will be a waste of your time. And if you think about networking, you're working on your business when you're networking. You're out there, whatever you're doing in that time you're taking out of your office or wherever you're working, that is time out of your business to work on your business. And it has to give you that return on your time and money investment if you're investing in a membership.
Indeed. Yeah, it's really nice when I go business networking to find people that can actually help me answer the questions that customers sometimes ask us that we don't know the answer to.
Absolutely.
So even if I'm not looking for anything specific at a networking event, it's just I'm here to get to know other businesses and people and what they do and how they do it. Because sod's law, that phone's going to ring and someone one day is going to ask a question, and I'm going to be able to go, well, actually, I know someone who can help you with that. And I've met them and they're local, and we know how they're close enough to go and bash them on the head if they get it wrong.
Yeah, but that's a very good reason to go to a networking event. And there can be all sorts of reasons, going to meet new people, going to build up your confidence, going to meet a specific person or looking for a specific contact. They're all really valuable reasons why, business owners network.
Indeed. And Susan makes a good point when she says you have to turn up week in, week out and just be you and authentic.
Absolutely.
It is very much a long game, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. Consistency. And if you think about it, when you pitch up at a networking event, you are pitching up as your business. So if you're there, 1 week, or you're there for half an hour and then you leave, or you're there only for, as you said at the beginning, Richard, only for the bit where you're presenting your business, your 60 seconds, your elevator pitch or whatever, then you leave.
Yeah.
What does that tell people about you as a business person? Possibly that you're not committed to something as you perhaps could be, possibly that you're just yourself. So I think consistency, networking is not a one-off event. Susan's absolutely right. I think you have to be consistent, and that's why I think it's always a good plan to choose those events that you want to be part of, those groups you want to be part of.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel that you can commit to those groups in the way that perhaps some groups look for that commitment, then that's probably not the right networking environment for you to be in.
Yeah, it's quite a cold way to sort of be as well, isn't it? Because someone turns up, just says their bit and leaves. You sort of think, oh, they didn't want to stick around to get to know any of us.
Yeah,
it's quite unfriendly.
But it's not effective either.
Oh, what? Sorry.
It's not effective.
No, definitely not.
What's the point in doing it?
Indeed. So, in that case, then, why would anybody want to go to a business networking event? I know it's a similar sort of thing to what we just talked about.
I guess it is. There's lots of different reasons. So it could be, as I say, it could be anything from just building up confidence. If you are somebody who has started out in business on your own, you might be going just to get some ideas. How have other people progressed their business? Where are they on their business journey? You might be setting up a business, or you might be an established business, and you're looking for other people that you can have as your retail partners, for example. If you are an accountant, you might be looking to connect with more solicitors so that you can cross-refer. You might be looking to learn and learn new business skills. One of the things we focus on really strongly at the Athena Network is we have business development training in all of our networking events. So that's really attractive for some people who want to actually learn and develop new skills as well. So there's a whole reason that people might want to go to a networking event. And I think the key thing is identifying yourself. What's your reason for doing it?
Okay. But yeah, I think you make a good point as well when you say about meeting not just other people that you can, not just going for the sale, but looking to meet, even if you meet similar people. So, for example, if you was an accountant and you still got something to get out of it, even if you walk into a room where there's 3 other accountants, you can actually find that actually these accountants have all got their own different styles and ways of doing things that you might never have considered. So it's a good.
Sorry, Richard, go on.
No, I think it's a really good way of getting to know who you could possibly collaborate with and how, or also, as a sneaky one, getting to know your competition.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to remember is we'll probably have an average of about 150 contacts in our networks on average. Some obviously more, some less. So it's not even just about those people that you are meeting in that room or around that table. It's about the contacts that they have in their wider network and their wider network. You see, platforms like LinkedIn, and they'll show you, your first connection, your second connection, your third connection. So if you a networking event, even if there's only 10 people in that room, your potential is thousands beyond that to get connected to.
Yeah, so that's a lot of people that you can potentially reach out to, isn't it?
lot.
Yeah, I really like the fact that, and this has happened to me a few times where I've gone to events and I've met sort of 2-3 photographers. And when I first started going networking, and I thought, well, there's 3 photographers here. Why? Why would 3 photographers turn up? I didn't get it. And then after a while, as you get to know them all, you start to realize that actually other businesses are not just, it's not black and white. There's not just other businesses. Actually, if you look at the styles and the way people do things, and I'm starting to look like Michael Jackson there, aren't I? So we're practicing that. I'm not going to break into a moonwalk, I promise.
Yeah.
I'll break my bloody neck. The ambulances are too busy right now for me to try that. But if you look at the styles and the way that other businesses go about what they do, what I very quickly learned is actually there's 3 photographers that I've got to know, and they're all completely different from each other. You could put them all in a room with the same camera, and you get 3 completely different results because of their styles and their experiences, all completely different.
And they might be looking to they might have different audiences as well, different target audiences. I mean, they might be a wedding photographer, or it might be a headshot photographer, or it might be a corporate photographer. And actually, all of those photographers will likely get inquiries for things that they don't specialize in. So who better to refer that onto? Well, it's going to be someone else that you know. You can that you can confidently refer them onto. And Susan's made a really point. Susan, I love your comments. What she said, networking. She says networking is a collaboration, not a competition. Absolutely. Always a collaboration.
Yeah, it's a collaboration. Yeah. So even if you do get known as an accountant, because people don't understand the specialisms that you do, if people ring you up and say, "Oh, can you do XYZ accounts?" that accountant might turn around and say, "Well, I don't, but I know one who does."
Yeah.
So you can become that go-to person for that customer.
But be a knowledge sharer as well. If you're an accountant and somebody else will come up against something most likely that you maybe have experienced, or vice versa. Share the knowledge. Talk to them about your experience.
When I go, I'm constantly looking. Sorry. God bless the delay on YouTube, eh?
I'm not talking.
We both just stopped talking for about 5 minutes, and everyone's like, "Did they both just freeze? Has it crashed?" Yeah, let's just do that for 5 minutes and confuse everyone. My dog does a good impression of that. But yeah, it's nice. Like, for instance, what we do with, because we're a domain company and web host, it's good for us to get out there and try and meet web designers and web developers, because they're key people. And one of the things we're being asked for constantly, and especially now more than ever, is, can you build a website for me? And we've had we're getting inquiries by the day now rather than by the week. And it's like, right, okay, which web designers have we got on our customer database? Because typically we outsource work to our customers in a sort of internal networking sense. So if you're a customer of ours, you're more likely to get the job or get asked to quote for it, as it were. But if you can't, if the customers are busy, it's nice to be able to just ring someone up and go, "Hey, you know what?" And they already know you from networking, so you've got that rapport.
And how great is it to be able to introduce a potential customer to somebody who is a business buddy or a business associate? It's a lovely thing to do. But you can only do that if you're confident that they will treat that customer as you would treat them if they were using your service. And you can't do that unless you know them, unless you like them, unless you trust them.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to recommend a complete car crash to someone, because you'd end up looking like a lot of egg on your face. And that's the advantage of getting to know them and checking out their work over a period of time and seeing what they do. What does Susan say? Susan's very chatty today. This is what happens when we catch her an hour earlier before bedtime.
Yes, brilliant. She's VA.
Yeah. She's very good as well. She likes all the stuff that most people hate, all the proofreading and document compiling and all that stuff. No thanks.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's her cocaine. That's her crack cocaine. I mean. But yeah, she said it's exactly the same in the VA industry. Different skill sets and different different ICAs. I don't even know what that means. So collaboration. I'm going to assume she's talking about some kind of qualifications or skill sets when she says ICAs.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Susan, what's an ICA?
Yeah, it must be a VA term.
Different call to action, is that?
Fair enough.
Don't know.
I was going to call it something else, but that's a rude word. I can't say that live on air. Yep, send my way. Yeah. So, you know, it's nice to...
Okay, yeah.
Oh, well, ideal... why didn't we guess that? That was so obvious.
She's saying there that business owners, even if they're in the same industry, they will be appealing to a different client, a different customer.
Yeah.
Niching in a particular way. So
yeah, I mean, I've met tons of VAs, and again, it's amazing how varied they are. When I first heard the term VA sort of 2-3 years ago, I thought, oh, okay, so they all must just do the same thing then.
No.
But no, not even close.
No.
Some of them do some very specialist stuff, and others just do, you know. But like I said on the very first show, if you're starting a business, get in touch with your nearest VA. They will put you on the right track. So if that's why you want to go business networking, if you do want to go to a business networking event, what should you do in advance? Should you prepare for it, or should you just rock up there and, hey, this is me and this is what I do? Or what sort of things should you do to prepare for it?
So the first thing I think we need to find out is what kind of event is it, because there are so many different type of networking events. So some networking events you can just rock up to. They're informal, they're pop-in, you know, you don't know who's going to be there. They maybe or maybe not have a training element to them. There's no structure to it.
Oh.
You have other events where you have to be a member, you have to commit, you have to show up. But I think the key thing is establish before you go to an event, what kind of event is it? What's the expectation that the host of that event has about you? Will you be expected to do a 60-second pitch standing up, or is it really informal? The other thing I think is really, really important, and we kind of touched on this earlier, is go prepared. So have a think about what you're looking to get from your time there. Now that's not saying don't worry about serving and being present and seeing how you can support others. Take that as a given. So that's a given. Whatever networking event you go to help, support and serve. That's the starting point. But you have to go knowing what it is that you're looking for. Is there a particular person you want to connect with? Brilliant if you can get a delegate list before you go. Brilliant if you know who's going to be in the room.
Is that even possible to get a list of who's going to be at an event before you go?
Some events, yeah, or you could get an idea from the host if that information is available. Obviously, with data protection, you've got to be a little bit careful. But some events will share that. For example, in Athena events, when we've got all of our members, I share a delegate list to everybody present before they come along.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So that they can then think, okay, right, well, I've seen there that there's an accountant and that we're talking about accountants, but it could be anything, a VA, whatever. Yeah, I actually know that I need to speak to a VA, so that's really going to be of interest to me. Or if you've got a particular seasonal offering, for example, you know, if there's something that you're doing because it's Valentine's or Christmas, there might be somebody in particular that you are looking to connect with to sell your chocolates at Christmas or do your flowers for Mother's Day. You might be looking for a specific retailer. So go with your goal in mind.
Said the word chocolate. Thanks a lot.
No, you know what? We didn't get any because we couldn't get.
That's like a trigger word, you know, chocolate. Oh, see you later.
To be honest, but I know it's another.
The Nicola Powell show. I'm going to go look for chocolate.
Bring me back some.
Yeah, stop saying chocolate.
Chocolate.
I haven't got the patience to queue up for an hour and a half to get some now.
No, that's why I didn't get any Easter eggs.
No Easter eggs. I have a question. You look like your hair is quite well kept under the circumstances, and some people I've seen are suffering with, lockdown hair, where they can't go to a barber's or a hairdresser's. What's your secret?
Yeah. Don't look too closely is my secret.
I just stay away from the camera. Just do that and don't look too close. Fair enough. I just get the shaver and just shave the sides and just don't look from the side.
Yeah, I mean, I get away with it. My hair's a bit of a mess most of the time because it's curly. So I'm not, it's not like I've got really short hair, but yeah, it's
Oh, your
challenging.
hair's energetic.
Say
That's how I
again?
describe it. Your hair is energetic.
Energetic. That's very
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of you. Thank you.
Like she's had her fingers in a plug socket.
Hello. Hello. There we go. Never mind. You're all right.
Yogesh just joined us.
Oh, Yogesh has asked you.
He's just joined us. Welcome, Yogesh. Good evening. Good to have
Good
you
evening.
on. Do you think virtual networking will be the norm after we come out of this crisis? No,
What a brilliant question.
I don't think so.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
You think so?
Yeah. I think, and I'll give you some examples of why, because nothing beats being in a physical space with somebody, because there's so much that we can learn and gauge, and so much we get from being in that space with somebody. So no, I don't think that physical events will ever be replaced, for all the reasons that we love them and we go along to them. But certainly what I've experienced in the last 3-4 weeks, where we've had to put all of our networking events online, is there have been some real opportunities that have come out of that, which have allowed connections all across the country, in the context particularly of the Athena network, where we have had members who would not have been able to physically visit another group, are now doing that remotely because they can log in. So if they're in the north of the country, they can attend a group in the south of the country. Now, we had not introduced that. That was not part of what we did at Athena before the lockdown. But will it remain a part after the lockdown? I think, Yogesh, I think it will, because I think it's such an amazing way to widen your connections. And I'll certainly be continuing to do that in one format or another. But of course, as soon as we can re-establish the physical networking events, we will do that as well. Yogesh, what do you think?
Yeah, what does Yogesh think? Does he expect to be virtual networking every day, or because it does feel like, since things have happened recently, it does feel like it's quite intense, doesn't it?
It's much more intense.
Yeah, it feels like something is happening several times a day almost. If you really wanted to.
I think there's a lot of reasons why, but for me personally, I think the primary reason is when you're with somebody, you're picking up lots of signals from them, body language, facial expressions, all of that you're picking up. Whereas when you're just sitting in a Zoom call or Skype or whatever you use, you'll
pick their nose, right?
So, what's that?
Watching them eat their cereals and pick their nose.
Well, we'll come on.
Some of the things I've seen people do.
So you shouldn't have to see people things that, that's the point. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, come on, dude, you wouldn't do that if we were out in the high street.
Absolutely. You wouldn't do that if I was sitting with you, would you? So don't do it if
you wouldn't live it down if you did.
Absolutely. But you're right. It's a much more intense experience.
Yeah, it's less. It is a lot less. The virtual network, it's a lot less personal, but it can get a lot more intense. But like you say, it does allow us to make connections that we probably wouldn't normally make.
Yeah.
Such as what was his name again? I'm terrible with names. Paul Bridges. Yeah, met him on a Purple networking event yesterday. Got talking about animations and various things that are all pretty interesting. And that probably wouldn't have happened had real networking not been shut down. We probably would have stayed as two separate Purple networking groups. But Susan says probably less, possibly less is more. I think it's the variety. So now we're all still a bit new and fresh in the whole virtual networking thing, aren't we? I think. And
I think there's been a real need to stay connected where we're obviously isolated in our homes. That connection, and I've noticed this in the business communities that I'm involved in. There is that need to stay connected. I think it will level out, but I think whilst we're all adapting and changing, and we're all looking at how we can adapt our businesses, having that contact with other business owners and get some ideas from them as to how they're pivoting their businesses is really, really helpful.
Yeah, plus it helps to avoid going crackers when all you've got to put up with is your dog and your partner.
Yeah.
So you don't just go completely nuts.
Yeah.
And I laugh and joke about it, but under the current circumstances, mental health is a definitive issue, isn't it? It's something that's going to be affected by this.
Oh, absolutely. And I've never seen such a swell, if you like, of interest in certainly the networking events that I run, and physical events. Now that they're online, I did think, oh my goodness, what does this mean? Does this mean people won't be interested? Does this mean lockdown means shutdown? What will this look like for for my networking business? Actually, the flip has happened, and I've had more inquiries, more attendances, more new members now in this last 4 weeks than in the previous 5 months.
Yeah. And am I right in saying that? Sorry, go on.
I'm saying people are really looking to stay connected. And I think it's probably what we're kind of alluding to, what Susan said and we've talked about, it's probably about pacing that a little bit and actually realizing that the intensity around online networking is much more. So we might do a little bit less of that, because actually it's kind of like 2 hours on a Zoom call is probably like 5 hours in a real meeting, which is tiring.
Yeah, it is indeed. Yes. Well, Stefan's joining us tonight. Happy days. He was warned to be on time, and he's here, so happy days. What's he saying? He says, I attended a virtual conference with 3,000 hospitality and tourism international participants. Holy crap. Apart from various speakers, they also had a virtual networking event in breaks. Can you imagine the Zoom call on that? There's 3,000 little square faces on the screen.
Yeah, well, virtual like that are becoming more and more popular as well, aren't they? Because as Stefan has said, you haven't got the travel. You haven't got the expense of travel.
Yeah.
It's a time and cost saving. Of course, you're losing that energetic connection that you have when you get a lot of people in the same space, motivated to do the same thing. But I think there will be a balance where we'll look at the offset for that.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine the cost difference as well between trying to find somewhere to put 3,000 people and your guest speakers and stuff, and somewhere big enough to put them all for a conference? The cost difference would be phenomenal. You'd go from probably hundreds of thousands, if not a few million, to probably just something that the average Joe Bloggs can probably afford. It's a massive and it opens up much more information as well, and possibilities to people who wouldn't otherwise normally be able to afford it.
Well, and there's the international. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, this was an international. Yeah, if you think of it, even down to the carbon footprint of international travellers to one single event, 3,000 people not travelling.
Yeah, boo! Shame on a lot of you.
And they're not good things, and there's lots of good value in that community. But I think it will make us stop and think now. Well, so you do that.
I'm sincerely hoping that once this is all, I won't say back to normal, because I don't think there will be one. But once things are resumed and the current situation has passed, I certainly hope that a lot of governments will take this opportunity to look at the environment and take a look at actually what the environment now looks like without all the junk in it that they've never seen before.
Well, it's going to be irrefutable, isn't it? You know, it's going to be undeniable. You can't argue with what you can physically.
No, I think
and the feedback, all of that. So,
yeah. I think the people in the space station are taking some wonderful photos right now of things they've never seen before because of all the junk. But what's Robin say? Robin, he says, I think there'll be a split. Some events will move digital with a less frequent face-to-face networking event. Yeah, possibly. There is definitely a scope for slightly more online networking, I think. But obviously not in the same volumes that is happening now. So things can move to virtual networking, but not weekly or bi-weekly. They probably wouldn't be needed. So, you know, a monthly or something like that might be more suitable. Because you'd still want to get out and meet people and you know, make fun of them and shake a hand and stuff.
And give them a hug.
That's just me that happens to you, right? Yeah, what else have we got here? Susan says, it's nice to go through the comments because it's good to show everyone the wide variety of thoughts that's going on, actually. I wasn't expecting this many comments. They're getting in the way of our conversation. If everyone could sod off to bed, we can...
we're talking about here is something which has had to transform so quickly. So there's a lot of change in the business landscape for lots of different reasons, but we're talking about something which is a purely physical kind of interactive event moving online. So I think there's lots of interest and commentary about it because it's had to transform so quickly.
Yeah.
Asked, how many people in a network room do you think is a good balance? Too many? What's a good physical attendance?
I need to keep up. Yeah, that's a good question, because like this morning at Bromley Business Network, there was 29, 30, and it felt like there was a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Whereas when you go to a physical networking, 30 people doesn't feel busy.
I think it also depends on the type of networking as well, which we talked about earlier. So more structured networking events, and I'll give the example of Athena and then the examples of others. So we have probably a maximum of about 20 at any one event, and that is the top of because we have a 2-hour meeting. Everybody has the opportunity then to present their 60 seconds, and that's what's expected of all the members there. We have really the opportunity to have conversations with people in open networking as well. So for what we want to achieve in our networking, which is collaborations and referrals and connections, that might be very different from an event where you go to where there might be 40 or 50 people. Now, there's no way that you're going to get to speak to 40 or 50 people.
No.
So you're probably going to that kind of event for something a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, 20 people sounds like it's a very personal event and quite a one where you probably have a slightly easier time and probably feel a bit less intimidated to talk in front of others.
Yeah, and you can, and they're brilliant environments to you build up your confidence. Take the opportunity to pitch or develop a business talk for your peers as well in that group as well, which you wouldn't have the opportunity to do at other networking events.
Yeah, I mean, some of the ones I've been to, like a lot of the FSB events, that's the Federation of Small Businesses. Their events normally pack out somewhere around about 40 to 50. And you really know that there's 50 people in the room because it's
loud, isn't it? And there's great connections that you can make at that. I mean, look at us, Richard. Look at us.
That's I know, right? I know. What a car crash. I'm joking.
What a great thing that happened but if you said to me, do I know everybody who goes to our Orpington or Bromley FSB? Well, no, I don't. I get more familiar each time I go there. But there's no way I could go around the room and tell you exactly who everybody is because I haven't had that opportunity in those environments to actually speak to everybody. Whereas in the smaller groups, you're more likely to do. But I would say one of the things to do if you are going to a networking event is don't just stay talking to the same person. So it can be tempting. Don't stay talking.
Robot-y and pixely sometimes.
Apologies, you are shocking Wi-Fi here.
Your Wi-Fi is just turned into Y, no Fi.
We don't have good signal where we are. No, Richard, what I said was, what did I say? Yeah, don't just talk to the same person. So it can be really tempting when you go somewhere and you meet somebody for the first time and you really enjoy the conversation to just stay talking to them for the whole 2 hours. But I think the thing to consider is you go to networking events to meet different people.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed as well is that one of the things I wasn't prepared for when I first started networking, probably about 2 years ago now, maybe a bit longer. I wasn't prepared for how friendly everyone is. I was half expecting it to take months and months to get people just to talk to me, and yet it wasn't the case. Literally, right from the word go, you rock up and say, hey, this is me, this is what we do. And people just sort of come and talk to you. But they talk to you like they've known you for a long time. It's that kind of friendliness at all the events I've been to, and I don't think a lot of people...
Good events. That sounds like you've picked good events because I
got lucky, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, I've heard experiences from women that come to the events that I run, and it's like, oh my God, you're so friendly here. It's like, well, where else have you been that you haven't had that experience? So it sounds like you've had some good ones, and I have. But don't think that is, it's not a given that you'll go to a networking event. If it's a good networking event, well hosted, then you'd hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I started out with BR1 in Bromley. Free networking event. We just rocked up at the cafe, buy a coffee, and stand around chatting. So it's very informal, and then you have a 45 seconds, 60 seconds of tell us a bit about yourself, and then carry on talking.
Yeah.
And that was wonderful. I love doing that because it's very informal, and you don't feel like you have to talk to whoever you're sat in front of. And that worked really well. And the people that run that, credit to them, they run it really well. And from there, I got to know more and more about networking, and then it sort of opened my mind to networking elsewhere as well, and what other opportunities were there for me to get to know local businesses and other people in the community. And because, like I was saying when I was badgering you about this show, I've been wanting to do this for years, but I never knew anyone. I'm not going to ask my neighbor if he wants to come on the show because I know what he'll tell me, and I can't say that on camera. But having met so many wonderful people, you just, all I ever wanted was to shine a light on some of the wonderful people that I know and have become customers of ours over the years. And actually going out business networking, and you meet even more people like that, and well, actually, this is a wonderful opportunity. And like you were saying earlier, I go to these events with a mind of what can I do that these people that I'm meeting can benefit from? How can I put something into the room rather than go to try and take from it? I mean, it's all well and good telling people, yeah, this is what I do, because, you kind of expect to get all the 200 IT questions of, well, it won't come on when I press the power button. But essentially, it's so nice to be able to bring something to a room.
Yeah.
I mean, you bring the sunshine, I bring the on and off button. I bring the reboot disc. That's it. But yeah, to answer Susan's point, on a good physical attendance, at the risk of upsetting someone, I'd say 40 to 50 at the FSB events is a bit too much, because it often feels like it is way too many. If the venues were bigger, but then it would cost more and it would get silly. I think the 20 to 30, in my mind, from what I've seen over the last few years, is actually a really good number. If you sort of cap it at 30.
Yeah, I would say I would prefer to be in a room with 10 good, because what I mean by that is people that are committed to supporting each other, hearing what each other needs. I'd rather be in a room with 10 good networkers than 50 that are just out for themselves. So it really isn't a numbers game.
Well, yeah, you can have some really good actual conversations where you actually get something out of it, rather than, otherwise you feel like you're speed dating. So this is me. I do ding next. Oh God, here we go.
Yeah. And there is a place for speed networking, most definitely. It can be really effective at building up contacts really quickly, but you've got to know.
I tried one once. The FSB, I was going back probably 12 plus years. We joined the FSB many years ago. When back in the days when Push probably still had hair, and they were running a speed networking event up in central London, and I went along there one day, and it was weird. It was just weird. You really did feel like you're on a bad date that just kept repeating itself.
I'll tell you what speed networking is really good for, and that's refining your 30 seconds to tell people how you can help.
Yeah, practice.
When you're networking, if someone says, the first question usually get asked, what do you do? And our instinctive, I'm a solicitor, or I'm an accountant, or I'm a computer programmer. But actually, the most effective thing that you can do in response to that is tell them how you help people.
Yeah, indeed.
I help people buy their dream home, or I help people spend less of a headache with HMRC, or something like that. And those speed networking events that you go to, where you're literally moving from one to the other, are a great opportunity to really refine that.
Yeah, it's good practice, huh?
Good practice.
Good practice getting rejected over and over again. Next, sling your hook. Susan says she went to one that was horrid. Oh dear.
Yeah.
And she says, I didn't know anyone when I arrived, and felt I still knew no one when I left. Yeah, that's not a good experience. If you leave and the only name you can remember was the taxi driver that brought you there in the first place, that's not a good experience. But apologies for all the coughing. So being aware of the time as well, I don't want to keep people up too late. And I'm aware that apparently Nicola has a life as well that she wants to get on with. So rumor has it. So in terms of the preparation and follow-up, once you've been to a networking event, is there anything you might want to do afterwards? Because I've seen a lot of people do very different things and talk about things they do afterwards. So once you've been to one, what might be a good thing after you've been one?
Follow up is unquestionably the best, most effective thing that you can do is follow up, because if you think about it, you spent all of that time at an event, getting there, getting ready, going there, talking, coming away, traveling back. If you don't follow up, then what is it that you've achieved? And by follow up, I don't mean badger, and I don't mean try and sell, and I don't mean, it can just be something as simple as, great to meet you today at the FSB Orpington, whatever. If you want to obviously take that conversation further, perhaps we could book a time for have a Zoom call or book a coffee when we're allowed to do that. So definitely follow up. And it could also be something that you can take away from that you can usefully share. So, great to meet you. I saw this article and thought it might be useful for you, or thought you might be interested.
That's a good idea. It's good to touch. Dare I say it? Touch base. I'm going to get shot for saying that. It's good to.
I think something else that can be really nice is if you can try and retain some specific detail that you've picked up from. So, really nice to hear you talking about your son's football, or, really nice to hear about your business, your new shop opening, or something like that. But something that's meaningful. What I would really advocate against is something like a kind of canned email, which is almost just great to see you at the FSB meeting, blah, 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 and then that's it. There's nothing to that. Remember, you're going
some
to
of the really long ones I've had where like you say, great to see you yesterday. Bosh, here's a load of stuff from me.
Yeah.
And you're like,
going
okay.
And build relationships.
Yeah. So if you've got a bad memory like me, wear a wire, get a copper to wire you up, and wear a little secret recorder so you can actually remember what the hell people have told you.
Well, do you know what I do is I have a book, and in fact, here is my book. And every networking event I go to, when I hear people telling their 60 seconds or whatever, I write it down. I write their name, I write what they do, and I write their call to action down. And
cool.
I'm the only one at some events who actually does that. But I think that can be a really helpful way of, and it might be you say, oh, that was the person wearing the red dress or who had the blue shirt. I haven't got a very good memory, so actually it's a really good way of kind of connecting.
Yeah, Promo Paul from Breeze Promo does that. You see him scribbling furiously while everyone's saying what they do. And you think, what's he doing? Is he working on his novel?
It's embarrassed to do it, because actually, if it means that you can go back to your office and you can remember who 15 people are, as opposed to trying to sign it. I mean, I couldn't sign that to my memory bank.
But then, credit to the guy. I've had emails from him afterwards, and they're some of the nicest emails you get. They're very friendly and sort of almost, knowledgeable and personable. They're nice. So hats off to the guy. So once you do your follow-ups and stuff, and it's all good, and you obviously you go back then and you make you from that point onwards, spit the words out, Rich, for God's sake. From that point onwards, you're pretty much just building and maintaining those relationships, aren't you? And
you are, Richard. And I think the other thing that's really important is to make a note of business activity that is derived from those networking events. Because if you're pitching up, it might be lovely to see people month in, month out, or week in, week out. But if actually there's nothing coming from that, and sometimes the benefits are not tangible, you might not have the new client or the new customer or whatever. It might be you've made a new friend or you've got a new connection. But I would always encourage anybody who is an active networker is whether you put it on a spreadsheet or whatever your preferential way of storing information is.
I know you're listening. She said spreadsheet.
Yeah, Susan will have a spreadsheet for this, I'm sure. But, you know, you might want to put FSB, and then, you know, 3 clients came from that. And this is what, because actually you've got to measure your return on your investment of time and money when you network.
Indeed. So that's pretty much really networking in a nutshell, really. I mean, it's a big nutshell, but, you know, that's pretty much business networking and what it is and what it's all about, and why the hell you should get off your backside and go and do some. Come out into the big wide world, not yet, and meet some of us. Yeah. And we don't bite, not all of us. Nicola doesn't, but I do.
I only bite.
I'm on a leash when I go out. But once people have done all that, if someone's watching this now, God forbid, if they're still watching this, and they think, actually, you know what, this doesn't sound so bad. If these 2 nutters will do it, then I might go and join them, because if they, you know, if people are putting up with them, they'll put up with me. So where might they find out if they're thinking, well, I want to go networking? I mean, if I could recommend anyone, if you're in the South London area, BR1 is a great place to start. It's a very, very nice group. It's run by 4 really nice people, and they meet once a month. So it's not intense, you know. It's once a month, and it's like, it's a slow burn. You get to meet people and get to know them slowly, in a very relaxed and chilled environment in a bar, at 10:30 in the morning in a bar. So there's no, you know, you're not going to become an alcoholic from it. They're not saying we're all alcoholics, but, you know, it is what it is. And other events like Bromley Business Network, if you like getting up crazy early in the morning and don't like sleeping, then obviously Bromley Business Network might be good for you, where you can go and have a slap up breakfast and a good old giggle. And, you know, and I've met Susan from quite a few of these events, and I'd consider her now a very good business friend. You know, every time you walk into a room, she's like, Rich, and I'm like, oh my God.
You made a really good point there, Richard. There are lots of different types of networking events. So you'll have the ones that are crack of dawn early that you need to commit to weekly. You'll have more informal pop-in events. You'll have lunchtime events, structured lunchtime events. You'll have evening events. You'll have
the FSB ones,
networking events. You'll have all women networking events. And I think the best piece of advice, I guess, is to try them, because they won't all be right for you and they won't all be right for your business. So try a few, speak to the members that are there. So if you can, grab 2 or 3 members, ask them what they love about it, what benefits have been to their business. Always good to speak to members. And then I think, oh, what's he got now? You've got how not
done. Well, there we go.
Yeah,
I'm pressing buttons when I shouldn't, you see.
And then make your decision based on the information, because some networking groups you'll have to be a member of, so you'll have to pay money. Yeah. Others you don't have to be. Personally, I prefer membership-based networking groups,
because I think keep the riffraff like me out.
Well, I just think you encourage consistency, and people are actively looking to get the most out of their networking. But that's not to say there are not some really nice informal, almost pay-as-you-go or not even pay anything networking groups. It could be good for your business. Depends on your business, depends on your business strategy, and it depends how much time you can commit consistently to going along to the events.
Yeah, because I mean, typical of things like, if you look, for example, on the Federation of Small Businesses website, they've got and what seems like now a never-ending list of networking events. Some are in the morning, some are in lunchtimes.
Yeah.
And they're all over the place. You can practically trip over them no matter where you go.
Yeah.
So that's a good starting point. Or if you just look up, go to Google, other search engines are available. If you go to your favorite search engine and put in business networking and then your town, you'd be spot for choice, I promise you.
Yeah.
You really would. But before you do any virtual networking at the moment, I want to show you something that Nicola made. And Nicola's and Curios Dog Media like to make videos. And this video that Nicola made is pretty funny, actually. So I'd love to show you this, and if I can press the right button this time and get it to work, you'll like watching this. Press the right button over here. If I get this right.
Can you run through the presentation for us, please?
Really good to see you. Let me just sort it out and set it all up. Hopefully you can see everything.
Okay, thanks, Sue. That's fabulous.
Seen plenty of those.
Hazzy, are you there? Okay, let's go over to Joe. I can see Joe's getting ready for our meeting. Maybe not quite ready enough.
How many of those have you seen, Nicola?
Oh, hi Sam. Great to see you. How are you doing?
Sorry, I was about to.
What?
Before the call. Sorry. Hang on a sec. Hang on a minute, Nicola. Hello.
Okay, Hazzy, I think what we'll do is we'll come back to you when you finished your call.
Yeah,
Oh,
click.
I won't be long. Hang on.
And disconnect.
Hang on a minute.
How many of you have seen that?
It's great that we can talk like this, isn't it?
Tell us about your project. How's that been going?
Going amazingly well. I'm really excited about the prospects for the future, to be honest with you.
Looks like things are a little busy your end, so perhaps we'll leave it there and we'll come back to you in a second. So Anna, could you share your screen with us and we can see what you've been working on for the group?
So don't do that ever. Not unless you like being embarrassed. How awesome is that?
For showing that. It was good fun.
I hope you could all hear that. You're gonna all tell me now that you can't hear the audio.
Oh, well, I heard it.
They'll all say, "Oh, we didn't hear it. We didn't hear anything, Rich." I think that's hilarious. Only because I've actually seen people do that.
What's been really interesting is there's almost this new wave of behaviour that people think if they're on a video call with somebody, that they can behave in a completely different way to how they would if you were in a face-to-face room with them.
Yeah, because they're still at home, isn't it?
Because they're still at home, or because they're and so I just put that together with some of my Athena members there, just to make the point. Turn up to a virtual networking event as if it were as a meeting. Get ready, check your audio, check your sound, put your makeup on if you're wearing makeup. Make sure that you're sitting in your chair, that you've positioned your camera, get all of that stuff right before you start your meeting. Don't eat while somebody's trying to talk to you. Simple stuff, but so it's just a bit of fun to sort of make the point.
I think it's hilarious. I like that. I was doing one once a few weeks ago, and it was very early in the morning, and there was a chap who was clearly networking in his kitchen, and he would put his phone on the table, get up, walk to the other end of the kitchen, probably 20, 30 feet away, and start making his breakfast. And you're like, where's he going?
Yeah.
And he didn't just pop to the other end of the room. He was there for ages, and then someone was calling him, was like, hey, he's on mute. And then he came running back. It's like, you just switch off, go make your breakfast, and see you next week.
Yeah, come prepared. Just be present. Show up, be present.
Robin liked that. He thought that was funny. As long as you don't turn up for a virtual networking in your boxer shorts, Robin, we'll be happy.
Well, no one would know, would they? Unless you stand up.
Well, there is that. I mean, have you seen his beard? It goes all the way down to his ankles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to pay for saying that, aren't I? So I think that's a fantastic top tips to round out tonight's show on. And have you got anything you'd like to add to that, Nicola?
No, I mean, I think that's kind of it. I think there's lots of things as networking evolves online that I think will become the norm. I think as we're all adjusting, the new norm is still in its evolution, isn't it? So I think if you go to a networking event with that as your starting point, you're probably 90% of the way there to having a great experience.
Yeah, I think it's also this virtual networking that we're all doing now. It's good practice for the real thing. So once we're all allowed out to play again, a lot of people will be a lot more versed in what happens in a real networking event, and probably be a little bit more confident about the people they're going to meet as well, especially if they know they've already met them online, albeit in their underpants.
Yeah, just remember to put your trousers on.
Yeah, well, this is it. Yeah, we're going to turn up to a real networking event all in your underpants and slippers. Oh no, neither of something I forgot today.
Yeah.
So, has anyone got any questions they'd like to ask Nicola before she departs for the evening and goes to probably? Have you got a bottle of something really nice there, Nicola?
Well, I'll probably have a cup of tea and a bit of chocolate. Now you've said the chocolate.
She said it again. That's it. No, you can't come on the show if you're going to keep saying chocolate.
I haven't quite kicked that habit in isolation.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. So I'm going to have to go off and find some chocolate now. Thanks.
But in all seriousness, I'm happy to talk to anybody about any aspects of networking if they've got any questions or a bit nervous about it. I don't know how I can share my details there, but if you want to find me,
your website address is in the show notes on YouTube.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to reach out to you through, I said it again, reach out. I've got to stop that. Damn Americans. If anyone wants to get in touch with you through Curios Dog Media, I did put the link to your website in the show notes on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, just scroll down a little bit and just read the little bit of text under there. Nicola's website address is in there. You can also drop a message to her through LinkedIn, Facebook. She loves Facebook, unlike me. And yeah, and you can smoke signals as well and pigeons. Have you got a pigeon landing pad? Her audio's gone. Yep, her audio's gone. Oh no, her Wi-Fi has just become Fi. Oh dear. Okay, Nicola may have. Is she still there? Or she's probably swearing at her computer by now. Let's see. Oh, she's still there. Yay. I was expecting her to come back with effing and blinding, swearing at the computer.
Sorry, Richard. I don't know if that was my end or not.
I was just saying, we send you smoke signals. Have you got a carrier pigeon landing pad?
Yeah, all of that. I'm happy to. I'm happy to connect. So LinkedIn. If it's about networking, obviously the Athena Network. If any of you are or know business colleagues, female business colleagues that are looking for a supportive, friendly network that will also train you how to network, tell you how to do it, then come and find me.
Always Nicola is very, very welcoming of questions, by the way. I badgered the living daylights out of her over video and starting the show. And between her and several other people in the networking event that I was at, I was expecting to get told, stop asking questions, but they just kept answering. And eventually, 4 months later, here we are.
Yeah.
So happy days.
Well done you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, nobody's perfect or an expert when they start doing something or anything.
3 years later, I was still going to be screwing this up. Trust me.
Probably we all will.
We'll still be sitting here with a mute button on, talking away 3 years from now, and Robin will be sitting there still laughing.
Doing really well.
But honest to God, I can't thank you enough for giving up your evening to come and join us, Nicola. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us tonight. I hope that everyone that's been watching the show likes the new format as opposed to the previous way I was doing the shows. I think the comments and the way they come up on screen now is a lot more enjoyable for everybody. And hopefully we will see you again next week when we have got, oh my God, I've forgotten, Michelle Roberts coming on the show, photographer extraordinaire.
Oh, I love Michelle.
Oh, she's wonderful, isn't she?
Yeah.
If you're wondering what sort of things she does, if you take a look at this, that photo there was taken by Michelle. She took that photo. Very personalised service. She comes out to you and says, right, what sort of shots are you after? And I said, I want some publicity shots for the show. And that was it. She just said, right, stand there, shut up, don't smile, now smile, move your arm. And and ta-da! We had loads and loads of great shots, and I had more shots than I knew what to do with. So she's coming on to join us next week, and I'm looking forward to that. We're going to learn a bit about using photography in your marketing, and what sort of role photography plays, because I think it's very undervalued, actually, the role of some great imagery. Plus, when you go networking, you kind of want to look something like you do in your pictures when you turn up. Not like a dating website where you turn up and they go, "Oh, you're about 30 years older than you are on your photograph." So that's what we're going to be doing next week, 7 o'clock Wednesday night. Give everyone give Nicola a round of applause, or a virtual round of applause. Thanks for joining us, Nicola. Very much appreciated. I shall bid you a wonderful evening and a very good rest of the week. Thank you very much, and thank you to all our guests for joining us tonight. Thanks, Paul. Thank you, Robin, for coming back, and wonderful to see Stefan and Susan again. No Chandra tonight, that's a shame. Hopefully he's keeping well, and I'm sure a lot of us are thinking about him at the moment. And we'll see you next Wednesday with Michelle Roberts. Have a wonderful evening and good night.
Thank you, Richard. See you, everyone.
Bye.